Hello and welcome to the Jungle Garden in Denmark. Now it's time for our summer garden tour, and we had some projects we wanted to finish before that, but we just haven't had time. We haven't done all of it anyway. If we start at the beginning of the garden, as always, you can see that the tree fern is finally getting going. It took forever this year. It didn't start putting out new fronds till June. I was beginning to think it had died, but now it's doing really well, and most of the plants down in this area do fairly well. It's, I think, more moist and more cooler than the rest of the garden because of the big trees, and the bamboos are getting taller and taller, as you can see, if you can see, because I've got the sun right down in my face now. I hear the dogs. But this spring and summer has been so strange, because it was really cold for a long time in spring, and then all of a sudden we had a drought, and just when we were about to have things start to grow, we didn't get any water. Then we had 30 degrees, and then we had so much rain that everything was flooded, and now we've just had 30 degrees again for a couple of days. So weird. No wonder that some of the plants are not doing too good. But other plants, as you will see, are doing really well. In this area I've used a lot of ferns and regetia and some hostas that have been eaten by slugs, and the fugium with the big leaves. And it works quite well, I think, with the bamboos and with the tree fern. Makes it look very lush and green. This is probably the Trachycarpus fortunea that's doing best in the garden. It is getting some height now, and it's looking quite good. Its neighbors are not so big. There's a waggy at both sides of it, actually. And well, especially this one is not doing too good because it is in sharp competition with the phormium. But there is a waggy in there. I don't know if you can see it. And here are the phormium tenax variegata. They have grown to be huge plants, and actually they're so huge that you can hardly see the eucalyptus trees in behind them. I assume that at one stage the eucalyptus would be tall enough to be seen. There's also some gingers here. There's an Assam orange right here. It flowers late in the summer. Gets a really nice orange flower. And then there is a cattleya in between the two phormiums, so it is struggling a little, but you might be able to see it. Cattleya spicata. If we continue down the path, I'll talk about the plants to the left first, and then turn around and take the path back and do the plants on the other side. One of the plants that has done really well this year is the banana plant. We managed to keep the pseudostem, so they already had some height in the spring, and it makes a big difference that they don't have to start from the root again. And here is a Cordyline australis that was moved this spring because it was tucked in behind the bamboo you can see on the left. And it had just taken over as bamboo do. So we decided to move the Cordyline, even though they don't like getting moved, but it has done really well. And then in the front here, I have some more Cattleya spicata. I've got a lot of those because they're very, very easy to divide. Then there is a Eucomis sparkling burgundy, and the forever Persicaria purple fantasy that it just grows everywhere. Well, it's easy to cut down and divide and that sort of thing, so, and it looks quite pretty, but it is a little annoying. Then we have a Euphorbia stygiana that's doing quite good, and next to it Catalpa that we have coppiced in the spring, but I don't think I want to do that anymore because the leaves are gone really strange this year. It could be because of the strange weather too. And then a banana plant next to it, and as I said, they're doing so good this year. And a bit further down the path we have the mountain or the arid area, and I've made some changes because we used to have a sort of grassy area and it just didn't work, but I can show it a bit better when I go a bit further down the track. And here on the mountain we have a Chamaerops, and in the background, and I hope that it is possible to see because I've got the sun right in my face, but that's a Desilerian, and I don't know if it's dead or alive. It's got a lot of yellow leaves, I guess it is, on it, but we'll just have to wait and see. And then we have the Yucca citrinus, I think it's called. I'll put it on the screen and find out if it's the right name. Two of those, and a very small Yucca rostrata here in front. And here on this empty spot, I'm going to move our Eremurus and put it here because it's not getting enough sun where it is. So the flower gets all crooked because it's aiming for the light. But that'll be in spring because right now I don't know where it is. It disappears when it stops flowering. And then we've got our Jubaeus chilensis, which is doing really good, but it is the part of the garden that gets most sun. Here is that part of the bed that has been changed. We had a couple of Butia capitata that didn't do so well. This one looks quite good, but the one next to it is a little miserable looking. Hopefully this will be better now that it is in a spot with a lot more sun. And then I had a few of these Echium fastiosum that I have grown from seed. And I do know that they can get rather big, and then there probably won't be enough space for them. Then we have to deal with that. So all in all, I think it has turned out quite well. A lot better than with those grasses. And this is the arid bed from the other side. I have dug in a lot of pebbles and sand and things to make it as well drained as possible. And if you look at the plants down the end, they were here first. It looks like it's working. So now we're going down the path again from the other side. We'll look at the other side of the path. And if we start with this area, you can see we're busy changing things. This was where there was a bush called Sorbus sorbifolia sem, and it was just overtaking the whole area because it puts out runners. It's quite aggressive. So that has been dug up and it's been given away. And all the little plants that were struggling have been dug up as well, and they'll be planted back in but we have decided to move this fig. As you can see in the background, it is taking up the whole path. So we're going to move this over to this spot. And then we'll put back in all the little plants that were almost strangled to death by the other bush. Also under the fig bush there is some plants that could use some more space. I think it'll be good in the end. We also have quite a lot of banana plants stage, so we'll probably put in another one, because now that we know how to protect them in winter, it looks quite good with the banana plants. You can see some in the background there. But if we start at the end, we've got a loquat tree here. It is doing okay. You can see it's got lots of new leaves, but it is really slow growing. And then we've got lots of hostas and ferns, and another Cattleya spicata, which is in flower at the moment, or beginning to flower. And in the background we've got a ginger, Hedychium Helen Dillon. It'll have some really, really nice white flowers later on. And behind here we've got a Cordyline australis. And in the background, one of our Paulownia tomentosas that's been coppiced in the spring. So what you see is what it has grown since March. It is so impressive. And that's why it's got those huge leaves. And here are some of our banana plants. They are really tall this year. And they're looking really good too. And it is because we managed to keep the trunk or the stem, the pseudostem, this winter with our new protection boxes. So hopefully that'll be possible every winter, because it makes a huge difference. They look so much better with the height. And here behind the banana plant, there's another fending shrub, Diavilla, and it's taking over everything. There's actually a little Fatsia variegata down here that is, the other way, that is struggling. So that bush has to go. It's not as aggressive as the other one, but it's aggressive enough. And that we found out when we removed the other bush that we actually have another Formium variegata, just like the ones on the other side of the path. So that'll be planted here. And I think it could be quite nice to have them, opposite each other. And behind the bush, or the shrub, we have our yellow bamboo. I'll film it from the other side, because then you can really see the yellow stems. And here is the bamboo with the yellow stems. It's really good looking. And next to it, I've got a alocasia, Borneo giant. It is indoors in winter, and then I put it out in spring, but this spring has just been so strange. Cold, and then dry, and then too wet. So it's not as big as it normally is. And then we've had to put up that fence because of the dogs. But I suppose that will be just for a short while. And here in the corner I've put one of my cannas, Canna Cleopatra. I don't know if it gets enough sun there, but there will be sun later on. And here's the wooden path in through everything. And I'll do like I did before. First I'll talk about the left side, and then we'll turn around and take the other side on the way back. And this is a climber called Dutch Pipe. I think I'll write it. It looks really good with the big leaves too. And it's right next to our new tetrapanax. We used to have a steroidal giant here, but it just died this after this winter. This is the ordinary form Tetrapanax peperifera. Then we have more ferns and another banana plant with some height on. And here is one of our tuberonas that are coppiced in spring. And they look so good with those huge leaves. And here's the bridge across what we call the long stream. And in here we have lots of plants. There are more ferns. There's a nandina. There's a damera and a fetsia. It's grown really well. And that is a lococacia. It should get some really big leaves. Here is another Persicaria, painter's palette. Also grew from seed, which is quite funny. And then we have a Mahonia, soft caress, behind a beautiful dandelion. And here in the back, there's a Magnolia grandifolia, something like that. I'll write it. And a Canna Cleopatra again, coming into bloom. It's always exciting with the Cleopatra what color the flowers are, because they can be red or yellow or red with yellow. And here's another Leucocacia giant that I grew from seed, and behind it there is a Colocasia sangria, I think it is, with that dark stem. Then we've got another Canna Cleopatra and Crocosmia. Emily McKinsey, I think it's called, but I'll put it on the screen. And here is the working area where we don't really have anything planted yet, except for that painter's palette. And here's the path from the other side. So first we've got the fig bush, not tree but bush, and behind it another Crocosmia Emily McKenzie, if that's what it's called. And then we've got a Cordyline australis that's doing really well. And in the background are huge Polonia tomentosa, which was coppiced in spring. So after fighting my way past that fig tree / bush, it'll be good to get that moved. We've got some palm trees, Trachycarpus fortunii and Trachycarpus wagnerianus next to it. And some more banana plants. Here are some more Leucocacia giant that I grew from seed. Lots more big hostas and ferns, and something that is going to become a small tree. Melia Jack Snowflake, I think it's called. I'll put it on the screen. And then we've got the bridge over the stream, and with a big radiosha on the other side. I'm impressed how well it does, because it is in full sun. Next to it, more palm trees, that looks like a waggy with those stiff leaves, doing quite good. And some more banana plants, really tall this year. And further down the path we have some more Cattleya spicata coming into bloom. And in the background the Fatsia japonica that's getting really big. And now we're back with the golden bamboo, getting taller and taller every year. Here is Yakumi bicolor, and behind it Acana musifolia, which has been really slow this year. Normally this time of year they're like 2 meters tall. In behind we have the Cordyline australis that we moved because it was standing right next to another cordyline, and we've tried that before. Apparently they don't like that because it was almost dead, but it looks like it's coming back to life. And then we have the Albizia julibrisson that has taken over the path. And here is Colocasia gaoligongensis, which should be the most hardy Colocasia, even hardier than pink china. I dare not leave it out for winter because I only have this one, but if I get some pops from it, then I might try. Behind it, the same Trachycarpus palms as we saw from the other side, and the tall banana plant. And a phormium, and another Canna musifolia. This is the long stream, as we call it, coming through the jungle. And running into the pond. And here we have another Eucomis coming into bloom, Abutia capitata, which apparently gets enough sun here because it's looking really good. And behind it, more Trachycarpus palms, Fortunii and Wagnerianus, and then a huge bamboo, Phagesia scabrida, Asian wonder. And right after the big bamboo we've got a big hosta and an agapanthus that has been flowering, and it stays out here all year. And behind it a Crocosmia Emily Mackenzie, I think it is. And behind the agapanthus we've got one of our Paulownia tomentosa that have been coppiced in the spring. That's why it gets these huge leaves. And it's grown like mad as always. So this is what it's grown since March. And behind here we've got a Crocosmia lucifer, which has already flowered with very bright red flowers. That was the left part of the track or the path, and to the right here we've got an Acuba japonica, and in behind another banana plant that froze back to the ground years ago, and all of a sudden it has decided to come back to life. Then we've got one of our tree ferns here doing really good. In front of the tree fern is a small but lush looking bamboo called Sasacurilensis. It is pretty invasive, so it is planted in the top to control it. And next to it, another Cattleya spicata coming into bloom. And then we have a big tree fern. It's looking really good this year. And in front of the big tree fern, we have a lot of smaller ferns, because I think it looks good with the tree fern. And here is our third Paulownia tomentosa, the one we don't coppice in spring. And it has still got very big leaves and has grown quite tall in those few years it has been planted. Next to it, we have a stumpery. Used to be some huge tree trunks, or but they've long gone, and now the hostas and ferns have taken over. And then we're back to where the short stream starts. And behind the bridge, we have the arid bed, or no, not the arid bed, the yucca bed. And I'll film it from the other side, where it's a bit easier to see, but we have had to make some changes. But it's looking quite good, I think. And then alongside the wall, all the dahlias are beginning to bloom. And this is the yucca bed, and they're doing fine. The variegated type here is always doing well. We had problems with the green yucca gloriosa, you can see in the back, because of all the rain we had in April last year. So half the plant rotted away, but it's put out many new shoots and it's looking quite good. And funny enough, the small yucca rostrata didn't mind at all. It's doing great, whereas our old yucca rostrata, the big one, died completely. So it has been replaced with a yucca laloifolia purpurea. Then we'll have to see if it can handle our winters. And going back over the bridge, over the long stream, we've got some more cannas. And it's actually Canna Cleopatra, all of them. The one in the middle with the reddish leaves are called red velvet, but it's still Cleopatra. And then behind we've got the Australian bed. And here in the Australian bed we've got a grevillea that's been flowering for ages. It's still flowering, I think. You might be able to see a little pink flower. And we've got a bottle brush behind it, which has already flowered. And in the background, some Australian palms. They did not like the very cold beginning of the summer. And we've got a banksia in the middle, hasn't flowered yet. Don't know if it will. And another bottle brush, a more creeping kind, if I can get it to focus. Here with white flowers. And then last but not least, the eucalyptus tree. And on the other side of the path between the Australian bed and New Zealand bed, we have the New Zealand bed. It's a Phormium tenax, and next to it another tree fern. Then we have a cordyline australis. Another Phormium. and red phormium and a lot of weeds. It's a bit hard to get into the beds and weed when the muscles that lift the legs don't work. Here we have a Schefflera taiwaniana. That is not the type that grows in the nature in New Zealand, but the one that does is not hardy. So that's a compromise. And this was the end of the garden tour. Thanks for watching.